Hey everybody, it's Mr. Babbitt again with another story. I thought I'd read you a story that somebody got my daughters, one of them, I don't know, when they were younger, and it's about a dog that farts a lot. And I picked this book out because it's funny, and a couple of kids here, Billy and Betty, they found this dog at the pound, which is where unwanted dogs and cats are. And they loved him so much you want to take him home. But he's got something that's very bad about him. He's very stinky. And one of the things you might notice about the artwork is this kind of weird looking pictures, which makes this illustrator very, very special. Very different. So anyways, let's get started. You see the picture right there. Betty and Billy brought Walter home from the dog pound. Nobody wanted him, said Billy. But we love him, said Betty. Well, he smells awful, said their mother. I think you'd better give him a bath. Mother walked in and said, he still smells awful. And that's when they got the first clue. The telltale signs, the bubbles in the water. He's probably just a little nervous, said Mother. Hopefully his stomach is just upset. But Walter's stomach wasn't upset. Walter's stomach was fine. He felt perfectly normal. He just farted a lot. He did it when he bathed. He did it when he played with Billy and Betty. He did it when he walked around the house. He did it in the dining room. He did it in the kitchen. And he did it in his sleep. Kind of looks like a little bag of air. That dog farts morning, noon, and night, said Father. He can't help it, Daddy, said Betty and Billy. He didn't mind Walter's farts. Oh, they didn't mind Walter's farts. So what if he farts? Billy said to Betty when they were all alone in the room with Walter. Betty agreed. Walter agreed too. He sat there looking innocently around, farting. Take him to the vet, Father said. So they're at the vet, and the vet says, farting, or rectal flatulence, as we say in the medical profession, and he prescribed a change in diet. They gave Walter every kind of food. He farted. They tried him on some cat food. They gave him hot dogs, hamburgers, lettuce and tomato sandwiches. He still farted. They gave him fried chicken. They gave him rabbit food. They made him a vegetarian even. No matter what that dog eats, he turns it into farts, Father roared. I don't suggest you give your dog cat food and stuff, by the way. Walter got blamed for everybody else's farts, too. If Uncle Irv let one slip, he just went and stood by Walter. Then all he would say was, Walter, and everybody would look at poor Walter. He's got to go back to the pound, said Father. No, Daddy, please, begged Betty and Billy. Don't send Walter away. He goes tomorrow, said Father. They pleaded, but Walter just farted. It was all over. That night, Betty and Billy cried in their beds, and Walter looked at them unhappily. Oh, Walter, said Betty, you've got to stop farting, because Father's going to send you back to the pound tomorrow, said Billy. Walter knew how serious the situation was. He would never see Billy or Betty again. He resolved to hold in his farts forever. When Betty and Billy fell asleep, he walked down to the kitchen to see if there was anything around to eat. He managed to open the cupboard door with his nose and found a 25 bag of low-fart dog biscuits the vet had prescribed for him, which made him even fart more. Even though he knew they made him fart more, he couldn't resist. He ate the entire bag. Very tasty, Walter thought to himself. And the cat's looking at him like, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. And then he went to lay down on the sofa. A ginormous gas bubble began to fill inside him. This is going to be trouble, he said to himself nervously. He was afraid of what might happen if he let it go. He thought maybe the whole house would explode, so he kept it in. It wasn't easy. In fact, it was torture, but he had resolved to never fart again. His future depended on it. As he lay there with his tail wrapped tightly between his legs, he heard a noise at the window. He watched it open very slowly. A pair of burglars came through. They dropped silently into the kitchen. Watch out for the dog, one of the burglars said. He won't bite, said the other. He's a wimp. Walter might not have bitten him, he might have bitten him, but except for he was so full of gas he couldn't move. They tied a rag around his snout so he couldn't bark. Okay, whispered the first burglar. Let's clear this place out. They took everything they could get their hands on. Walter wanted to stop them, but he was having such unbearable gas pains. He just rolled on his back and he waved his paws in the air. He gnashed his teeth. We've got it all, said one of the burglars. Let's go. That's when Walter let it fly. It was the worst fart of his life. It made a tremendous noise and shot him across the room. A hideous cloud filled the air. The burglars clutched their throat. Unable to breathe with tears in their eyes, they raced for the window. They tried to grab the bag with all the valuables in it, but their arms were too weak. Let's get out of here. They jumped out the window and ran up the block, choking and gasping for air. Still blinded by Walter's attack, they stepped into the headlights of an approaching police car. Hold it right there, said the policeman. When Father and Mother came down in the morning, they found the window open, and they saw the bag of their valuables in it, and Walter was sitting beside it. He still had the rag tied around his snout. You'd have say he looked very heroic. He saved the silverware, cried Mother. He saved the VCR, cried Father. Good dog, Walter. You're our dog, even if you do fart all the time. And so the family learned to live with Walter the hero dog. And that's the end of our tale. So, maybe you have been around a dog or a cat or some other animal that has pretty bad gas. They do stink, but they are very lovable. So, I hope you like that, and maybe I'll have another story for you soon. Take care.